Hey folks, my name is Kevin, and it's time for some gear nerdery this time, because I finally got one of them fancy pants bit drivers. Before we bust into this, I've been waiting to check this out for a really long time. They never restock. But before we get into this, I want to talk about what bit drivers I've been using and what I recommend, and you're still going to see them on the channel. This is what I normally use for disassemblies. These are the aluminum versions of the iFixit drivers. I've had these for I don't know how many years at this point, and I absolutely adore them. I'm going to continue using them, and the reason is because a lot of things when you're working on knives, or in my case, I've had these for a long time because I work on a lot of little small gadgety things at home, you don't want a ton of torque. And so these precision bit drivers that are narrow like this are really, really good. I've tried a lot of the ones on the market, and these genuinely are my favorite. And I want to make sure that you don't confuse them with this, because this is the plastic version that iFixit sells, and it comes in a lot of their kits. So if you buy their bit kits, they tend to come with these plastic ones. These aren't bad per se, but they're definitely not good, or they're not great. They're honestly, they're okay, but these are actually fantastic. This is not the kind of thing that's designed to spin for a million years. It's designed to spin extremely smoothly under pressure, and so it works really, really well. They use the 4mm precision bits, and I use the ones from Weha. They do sell their own 4mm bits, but I have had these for a very, very long time. Like I've always carried Weha bits. I have bulk packs of them. And I definitely highly recommend these over, for example, what comes in the Weha kits. Now these are great because these are anti-static, so if you're working with small electronics, these are fantastic. But if you just compare the way that this turns, or the fact that this holds the bits in with a compression fit, compared to the way that this spins, oof, and you know, the magnet up here, it's just, these are fantastic for working on knives. Sometimes you need more torque than that, though. And iFixit does sell a big old chonk boy. I don't know. I almost never use this. This is a full-size, big screwdriver. The entire thing is just over 6 inches long, and it is much, much thicker. But this is probably what I would say is the closest thing I've found to a precision full-size screwdriver. And what I mean by that is, even though it is big and thick and has weight to it, which means you can kind of spin it in place, this still has the same kind of ultra smooth flow spinning back, which means if you do need to make very small adjustments, this works well. But look at the size. If I have this back in my hand, especially in my medium glove size hands, it's just too big. And so I've always wanted a smaller driver with a lot of torque that spins. And I want to make that point to distinguish it from the stubby. Now, the Weha stubby is fantastic. I absolutely love it. And this version that has the pop-out back to hold bits, cannot recommend it enough. But this one doesn't spin. So what I use this for is if you have a knife that is dual keyed, something like, do I have literally any? Yeah, okay, so this is the Maverick S from Christensen Knife Works. So something like this, if you're going to open this up, you need to put a bit in each side. And so the reason why the stubby kind is great is because they don't spin and because they're very short. So you can palm this in one side, line that up, and pinch the top of the knife. And your goal when you're using one of these as a stabilizer bit to open up a two-tooled side pivot like this is you want this to stay as stationary as possible. You don't want it to spin, and so the fact that it doesn't spin is fantastic. It's so much better than trying to use something like this. You don't ever want to use these big long ones because the big long ones give you so much more opportunity to kind of pivot side to side and accidentally pop out. So I highly recommend you get something like this for 2-keyed ones, but if you're trying to use this just for a regular thing for a lot of torque, if something's got a bunch of Loctite in or something like that, the fact that it doesn't spin is kind of a pain in the butt. So I've been hunting for a long time for a counterpart to these, something that's smaller than this, and something that would allow me to use the 1/4-inch bits as well. I love the 4mm bits, but the 1/4-inch bits is what you have to have if you're going to go up into anything that's more than 4mm in size. So if you're going to be using something above like a T10, if you're going to be using like a T15, they just don't make T15s. At least I've never seen them. They have to flute back out. Anyway, that's what brings us to this. Let's get this open up. To do so, we're going to use my Baby Barlow. I freaking love this thing. I have used this for almost all of my box opening ever since it came in. I swear this is the best tiny box cuttery knife on the market these days. I cannot get over that knife. Okay, let's pop in here. So, Griffin Company bit driver tool MK2. This does not say on it anywhere combat beads, but combat beads is like a brand, I guess, if you will, under the Griffin Company or Griffin Designs. He uses this names everywhere. This is the work from Keith Griffin. He is a guy up in Ontario. And it's funny because so much of what he does not appeal to me. I am not a combat person and I'm not a beads person. So the intersection of the two is definitely not made for me. I'm not a skull person, and there's skulls all over his work. And I'm also not like a post-apocalyptic finish person. And he has that on so much of his stuff. So there's a lot of what Keith does that is not targeted towards me. But this driver, I have always wanted. And it's because it's kind of just brilliant. I don't know why more people don't do this. What we have in here is MK2. I'm assuming there was an MK1 at some point. We have a bit driver that has a hidden compartment to hold the bits. Of course. Why not? Yeah, here we go. This is what I'm talking about. This is not marketing to me, but it's marketing to a lot of people. So I get it. I get it. I understand why people are into this stuff, but that's definitely not me. I'll hustle and grind till my time is up. I bet you will. Here we are. Yes. Okay. Yes. I love this already. Okay, this is fantastic. This has a frag pattern. Yes, that is leaning into the combat theme, but a lot of things have frag patterns these days because frag patterns are excellent for exactly this purpose right here. Yes. Excellent, excellent grip. A wide base here to give you a nice lot amount of torque. And then this is a free, smooth flowing thing. Now this is also not something meant to spin over a million times. And in fact, it doesn't. I think it stops almost immediately. And the reason is because this is being held in with a magnet. It does have a bearing right there that allows it to spin without any kind of pressure, but it spins smoothly and in a controlled way, not in that kind of just endless spin way. This has the magnet because that's where you put your bits. Now, it ships with 3 bits because it can hold 3 bits. Actually, it ships with 4 bits, don't it? Because it can hold 3 bits back here and 1 up at the front. And what it ships with are WIA bits. That's the high quality stuff right there. But what it ships with is, I think, a reflection of what you can probably buy in bulk from WIA if you are someone like Keith. Because it ships with a T6, a T7. When do you ever run into T7? There's the 6, T8, and a T9. When do you ever run into T9? So I think someone like Keith, who is very clearly marketing to our knife community, knows that T7s and T9s are never going to be useful to us. It would be so much better if this came with a T10 and a T15, because those T6, 8, 10, and 15 are the only ones you ever really need for 99.9% of knives. But I just think it's a matter of what he can actually get. So I am going to use these two and then supply my own I'm probably just going to put a T10 in here. And then I might put a T15 in here and put one out in the end if I actually keep one out at the end. But what you do is you load these in, and then this sits down like that, and it can pull those out as they go. So wait, is that not sitting completely right? It's not. So that has to sit in the bottom. I'm not sure if these are seated right, because I think it's not supposed to stick out like that. Because that definitely does not sit right. I'm going to have to figure it out, because if you look down here, let me see if I can get a flashlight. There's a little indentation. Huh. Are these really meant to stick out? That doesn't feel right. Maybe if I put them in the other direction. Maybe I'm not supposed to have them that way. Oh, yeah, that's a me problem. These are supposed to, yep, there you go. Now I know. And they come out with that magnet, so it's actually pretty easy to take them in and out. You actually do have to be careful about that, though, because if you pull off too hard, it will fly out just like I did right there. Anyway, so these all fit in there. This now fits at the bottom. And there's your bit driver. Okay, size-wise, this is 3.75 inches. What that means, though, is that you've got the grip right here. And so I think this is actually kind of perfect for me, because you put this in your palm, and then you spin right there. You can pull this even further back and pinch up in front of it. But I think this is going to be perfect. You compare that to this. Woof. I am very pleased with the one that I picked too. This is the satin finish, and he's done a stone wash finish in the past that I actually quite liked the look of, but in this most recent drop, I couldn't find anything that quite looked like that. He had like blasted and tumbled ones and distressed ones that were supposed to look old in some way, and at the end of the day, I didn't see any of them that didn't have that kind of post-apocalyptic look. And so I'm very pleased with this bright, gleamy satin one. I think it looks delightful. I love the way this turns. But I will say, if you're the type of person that wants to be able to do that thing where you put weight in and then spin this underneath it, this is not the free-flowing kind that will spin under your own thing. Like, you can't just like put it there and then use the momentum to twist it and make it spin in your hand to screw something in and out. It does turn very, very smoothly, but it's not going to just spin. Yeah, I love it. I'm very excited to have this. And yeah, I think we're going to cut it there. I'm still, there's a couple other ones that have piqued my interest over the years, and I might still check a couple other ones out. There's a new brand on the market called Good Screw. Their branding is hit or miss for me. Like, it's very humor driven, and some of it is not my sense of humor at all, but some of it's quite up there. And but their drivers themselves look fantastic. There's also ones from Journey makes a really cool one. What's the other brand that I'm thinking of? There's a one that I'm blanking on that I would love to check out one of theirs. Anyway, whatever. You might find more bit drivers on my channel in the coming years, but I'm very pleased to have this one. Okay, thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time.